It's time for Be in the Driver's Seat with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and mental health expert, Dr. Teresa Moore. A Saturday morning mix of cars, credit, and wellness created just for you. Brought to you by Joe Lunghammer Chevrolet of Waterford. Plan your next vehicle purchase or get your credit rolling in the right direction with Regina today. And now, Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and Dr. Teresa Moore.
Good morning, good morning. You listen to Be in the Driver's Seat, and I am Regina Eileen Woodard, a.k.a. the Queen of Car Loans. Good morning, Dr. T.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday.
Hey, good morning. It's Mr. Trust the Process, a.k.a. Little Brother. And you know, top of the line, Popo.
Oh, here we go.
You know
Here we go. Here we go.
The kids say it. They love the kids.
You know,
the kids love saying it.
So, Gil, you are making up for last time when you didn't talk that much on the show. Now you're going to make up, right?
Okay. That's fine. Call the Popo.
So, this is why we got something for you this morning, okay?
Yeah.
You ready,
What y'all
Dr. T?
Let's go. One, two, three, go. Gil got
has
the
big mouth, big foot, big head, and a big truck.
Good morning, Gil.
Good morning.
You know what? Listen, this is not okay. I tell you what. That was cute. That was cute for y'all. That was cute, as my daughter would say. That's cute for y'all.
That's cute for y'all. Wait a minute. He said for y'all.
That's cute.
It's cute for you too.
Listen. I keep trying to, like I told them last week. If y'all don't have older sisters, then I don't know what I don't know what y'all missing out on. And I'm not gonna trade these two in for nothing in the world. Because you know why? Look at the things that they do for me, man. Look at the what was that, a slogan? What was that little tagline that y'all?
Yeah, that was a tagline.
That was like a beat.
Does that happen every week? Just kind of roll that into the Florida thing. Look, we're gonna have an exciting Saturday morning. You know why?
Why?
Because we get to talk about you, and we get to talk about you,
and we get to talk about
you. We already started.
We already talking about
Can we do it again?
Yeah.
So Gil has a big mouth, big foot, big head, and a big truck. Boom.
Let the talking begin.
Listen, y'all I can't wait till y'all see these behind the scenes. You know, go to the YouTube page, go to the Facebook page. I'm telling you right now. And they did something when I went in the studio. I want to figure out what that is y'all did. And I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to put it out there, too, so everybody can see it.
Put it out there.
Yeah, because what's not going to... these behind-the-scenes shots, like, we're not just going to keep this to ourselves.
That's right.
I don't know what's kind of going on.
So let's go ahead and get started with our show today, right?
Okay,
so the word of today is, the word of the week is movement.
Ooh.
So when people think about movement, they think about movement when they pull, they push, they squat, they lunge, rotation. That's movement of the body, right? Mm-hmm. But when I'm thinking about movement, I come up with my own definition. So you can come up with your own definition, right? Mm-hmm. But when I look at definition, I'm not talking about the movement of the body parts. I'm talking about movement in your life. Mm-hmm. Where you moving? What's your movement? Movement. Yeah. So if you look at your goals from last year, what was your movement? Did you move up the scale? Did you move down the scale? Or did you just stay in the same position?
That's good.
Is your body still the same? Are your joints, are your legs still the same? Or, when you brush your teeth, is your movement still the same? Mm-hmm. You know what? Yeah. So let me give you this morning. Movement to me is movement on everything I do. Whether do I brush my teeth better than I did last year or 2 months ago because I just went to the dentist and he said, Regina, you need to do this. You need to have more movement with your toothbrush. That's what he said, Regina, you need to have more movement with your toothbrush here. That's what I need you to do. I need you to step it up. Not because my breath stank, but I just need you to have more movement. Detail. That's what he told me. So when I look at my goals, I'm like, what kind of movement have I had with my goals, right? Yeah. So I'm going to pitch it on over to you, Dr. T. What's your definition of movement?
So movement to me is of course going from one place to the other, right? Advancement. And when I think about that, I have to talk about self-inventory, right? And so you said something which was important. Are you doing the same things the same way as you did last year? So if you're effectively moving, you're not. you're not the same last year. Like, I'm definitely not the same person that I was last year. I don't think the same. I don't move the same. I don't walk the same. I have grown. And so movement to me produces growth. Are you growing? What are you doing? And movement, even in my daily walk with Christ. Am I advancing? Am I drawing closer? So that's what movement is to me. Not just moving from one place to the other, but actually growth. What about you, Gil?
Oh man, you wrap that up. I mean, and that's definitely how I look at it. Like you have to do a self inventory to check your movement, and again, movement is not just a physical movement, but your spiritual movement. Mm-hmm. Like if you're still the same person spiritually that you were last year, but you physically have lost weight, you're technically still the same. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, because at the end of the day, if you're not paying attention to how your spirit man is or woman is growing, your spirit identity, your spirit, just you being spiritual, your connection with God and how that is developing, that's the most important part. Because you're going to go through all those physical up and down changes with the body, even mentally with the mindset, right? The battle is over your mind, right?
Yeah, battlefield.
Yeah, the battlefield is over your mind. So for me, movement again is just like you said, Dr. T, and Regina, you said it. Like, am I doing something? What am I doing differently to accomplish the goals or the vision that God has set for me? And then checking that.
So let's dissect that. So you said spiritual movement, self-inventory. I always like to give like examples, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe think about it. I lost weight, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm continuing to lose weight. Mm-hmm. So it was a self-inventory of what I am doing with myself, far as what I'm eating, what I'm putting in my mouth, me saying no, maybe no on this food, maybe no to alcohol right now, or maybe no to this Coke, or pop products, right? Or and then it's spiritual, my mind. I've gotten more closer to God spiritually. I think differently when it comes to God. Always blessed that He's been there for me, right? But I walk differently and I feel differently. So if you have that inventory of yourself, spiritually, self, physical, right? Mentally, we left that out. Mental. What is your thought about the mental movement, Dr. T?
So as the world knows, there's been because of the epidemic, a lot of people, well, I'm not going to call it an epidemic, well, the crisis that has happened in the world with COVID-19, a lot of people have now normalized going to therapy, right? So I say that. So mentally, if you're not in a great mental space, then you can't effectively grow like you should. So how can you take inventory when you're not mentally in a stable place, right? And so for me, it comes with being grounded. It comes with being grounded. How do I get grounded? What do I do? So you asked me, you said, let's give an example. An example to me about being mentally stable is, number one, being in a relationship with Christ. That's the way I do it. Number two, sitting in front of someone, a therapist, or sitting in front of counsel who can help me cognitively think better. Because a lot of things that people who are suffering with anxiety, depression, mood disorders is because they have distortions in their thinking. So they need to have someone show them or train them to change the way they look at things. When we change the way we look at things, our lenses change and we do things differently. So in terms of mentally, if you are receiving that help, you begin to see things different. We see the world different, right? When we are in a great mental space. But if you're in a place where your cognitive distortions are, bad, then you can't see the world as it is. So mentally, just gotta do some work. And
work is movement. Mm-hmm. Work is not necessarily that whole 9 to 5. Work is that engine. Work is the key. And a lot of people don't understand it. I think they really just kind of look at it from the aspect, work, am I physically working, like those type of things, but it's mental exercises that you must do. There's other things that you have to do, and work is movement. I think as long as people, when you say the word work, they like to disassociate themselves, especially if you're a procrastinator, right? Like if you're a person who likes to you don't always get it done. When you say work and it brings some type of anxiety, people thinking that, it's a bad thing, but it's like really you have to flex that mental muscle. You have to flex your spiritual muscles. You just like you do your physical part. Those two things, if you don't exercise in those arenas, if you don't have mental things that you do, I have mental exercises that I do every day. I have spiritual exercises that I do every day because I learned that the lack of thereof causes some issues and has caused some problems in my past. So learning how to operate in those two spaces by what we call setting our day.
Yeah.
Right.
So I call it commanding the day, right? So you saying setting, so we're on the same page. But, even as I was listening to you, a lot of us self-sabotage, right? A lot of us self-sabotage because...
Self-sabotage.
We self-sabotage. Like, we know that we have been given talents, we have been given giftings, we have been called to do a thing, but because of fear, we don't move forward, or because of someone else may have said or done something that has held us captive. So we can't move. So that's when there's no movement, because you're being held captive by what someone else said or did, or because you're keeping your eyes on someone else, you're self-sabotaging yourself from being great, from doing great things, from moving. So yeah.
So why do you think that we sabotage ourselves? Why is that even? Why do we do that to ourselves and we realize we don't do that to ourselves?
Listen,
help me out.
Because some of us are really scared of success.
Yes.
Like if we want to get down to it, let's just be 1,000.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
some of us scared of success. Some of us are scared to be successful because we have built such a wall and a great plan around defense of where we at from all the past hurts and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Like to break out of that means I have to do something new.
You got to move.
And I have to move.
Yeah.
So being successful, or when we look at what success is, sometimes we look at other people's success and then we judge that for our own.
Yes.
And then when somebody else comes around the corner and say, "Oh, I want you, hey Dr. T, I want you to be successful," and Dr. T picture of success is what she's seen her neighbors, the Joneses, and everybody else who has all these great accomplishments and alphabets and stuff behind their names, and she gets intimidated about it because she comes from humble beginnings. Then she's like, I don't know if I want to be successful. I don't know. Can I be successful? You start then doubt, and all of those other things start to kick in. But truly, it's the self-sabotage. It goes back to that.
So why do you think people compare themselves to other people on social media, looking at what everybody else does? Before social media came apart, it was no comparing. People just went what they saw or what somebody told them. Now you can go in to somebody's page on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and see what they're doing, and they're comparing.
Yeah.
Why do we do that? How do we get away from that? That's the question. How do we get away from that, Dr. T?
First of all, let me just, the first question, you said, why do we do that? And because number one, I've been given a gifting, and I may see Gill doing what God has ordained me to do, right? But I'm keeping my eyes on Gill and not knowing what it took for Gill to get where he is, right? And so oftentimes we keep our eyes on people and we want to be like, I want to be just like Regina, the Queen of Carlones, but you don't know what it took for Regina to become the Queen of Carlones. You don't know the work she put in. You don't know. So most people want to be an overnight success, but they don't want to put the work in. So that's the biggest thing. We keep our eyes on people and not on our own process. We got to trust our own process. We have to walk in alignment and follow our own steps. So it's out here for us. It's enough for everybody to eat, but you have to do it in your time and God's timing, if you will. So I'm looking at you trying to be you, but I don't want to put the work in. I don't want to do what you did, but I want what you got.
So you know how I look at it when you think about it's enough business out there for everybody. Mm-hmm. When it comes to selling cars or just doing what I do, even the credit repair, helping customers out, I always say, it's enough people out there that I can sell a car to, that you can eat to. Mm-hmm. We can all eat. Mm-hmm. Your customer is not my customer. Right. Sometimes we may run into the same car customer, but then that's when you go into your mode. What makes you different? Why should I shop with you? Why should I buy a car from you? What makes you different? And if the customer don't know that before they call you, then you're not going to get that business. Because I'm fortunate enough now, I don't have to wait until somebody come through the door to actually buy a car from me. Or I don't have to eat what everybody else eat in the showroom. It's because I built that brand. But again, they don't know what it took to get this brand. This is a long, hard night, long time, many years, like
to get to the
crying, going home like, oh my God, am I going to make a paycheck? Am I going to get this? I'm going to get that. How do I get to it?
Yeah.
So people don't know the struggle.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're going to talk a little bit more about. Like, we want you to understand who we are and why we do what we do. And I appreciate y'all tuning in. So we're going to get to it. So, Regina, I think somebody making a phone call to you.
Well, you know what? I just got to talk about, Joe Longhammer. My relationship with Joe Longhammer is so strong that, sometimes I know the words that's coming out his mouth sometime, right? Mm-hmm. So, I just, in our interview coming up, when you guys interview me, it's going to be the relationship that I have with Joe Longhammer and then a little bit about the Queen, right?
Can't wait.
We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dave Wilkie, service manager at Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. Since the 1950s, Joe Longhammer and his family have been honored to service your vehicles. With 112 years of combined service experience, we can take care of any concern you might have. From warranty work to routine oil changes, we treat your vehicle like our own. Call now to schedule a next service appointment at Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. Stop by anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Get your vehicle serviced right every time. Call 248-683-7100. That's 248-683-7100.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Hi, Joe Longhammer from Longhammer Chevrolet here with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. What kind of deals you have right now, Regina?
This tax season, I'll match your down payment up to $500 on any new or used vehicle.
So if a customer brings $250,
I'll make it $750.
if they bring $500,
I'll make it $1,000.
when you come in, just ask for Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Ha! It's good to be the Queen of Car Loans.
Yes, Joe knows.
To find me and this limited time deal, Google Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Regina, the Queen of Car Loans here with Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. If you're looking to get into a new or used vehicle with affordable rates, I can get you financed today. My lenders are making unheard of deals where others are simply cannot. This month, ladies, I'm hooking you up with hair and makeup from Glamorous Rebel Hair and Beauty in Sterling Heights for the first 10 people who buy a new or used car from me. You'll be riding in style with the Queen, Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. Just Google Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
You are still listening to Be in the Driver's Seat. And when we went on break, Regina, you were talking about your relationship with Joe. Let's get into it. So, listeners, today you get the heart of the BIDS team. So we're going to be doing interviewing. You get to learn some things about us. And first up, we have Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. So, Regina, let's get into it. Let's talk about your relationship with Joe.
So my relationship with Joe, if a lot of people don't know, I am a three-peat, three-back. I'm a B-back, 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 and a B-back. So in 2010, Urban Pontiac that was located on 500 South 500 South Updike closed down right before they took Pontiac brand away, because it was a Point Pontiac store, but then he was able to add the Buick to it maybe 2 years before, maybe I think 2008, right? Don't quote me on the year. And before they closed down, he was trying to, Bill Hahn, owner of Urban Pontiac, tried to get with General Motors to be able to get GMC with the Buick, right? And that didn't happen. So he tried to do used cars, and used cars didn't work, right? So I had to find a home, right? I had to find a new home. So I put all these applications out different places, right? Different dealerships. Mind you, I got into business 1998. So I went to the mortgage business 2003, 2004, but I still dibbled in the car business. So I went back to the business, and when I went back to the business at Urban Pontiac was right after they filed bankruptcy. I thought the mortgage business was going to go, and then the car business went first. So he closed down in 2010. I put applications in, but in the newspaper I saw an ad that Joe Longhammer, Buick GMC, was looking for a salesperson. And I said, wow, I'm going to apply there. Plus, there was a sign-in bonus of $5,000. So that $5,000 was like, oh, I got to get that money.
Back in 1998?
It was, no, 2010. I started in the business in 1998.
Okay.
2010 was when I left. Urban Pontiac closed down. Saw the ad in the paper for Joe Longhammer Chevrolet Buick GMC. Had a signing bonus. Went over there, applied, and I said, I saw this in the paper. Are you guys, hiring? He said he had been watching me. Dave Snelling, the general manager, actually said he had been following me for years, right? Actually, he used to work at Joe Longham. He used to work at Urban Pontiac for the Hahn Group, Hahn Network. And he said, which store do you want to work at? I said, well, the ad was Buick GMC. He said, well, do you want to go to the Chevy store? I was like, yes, right? Because I was so pro not no Chevy. I was a Buick Pontiac girl, so I know nothing about Chevy. But all I knew is that they sold a lot of cars, right? So with that happening, that was my first time at Joe Longhammer selling cars, right?
Okay.
I don't really know where to go from there.
Well, honestly, you gave us...
I took you all the way back, didn't I?
Yeah, you took us back, but I love that. But I really want to get to the relationship piece, because you can work anywhere, right? You can get a job and you can work somewhere. But one of the things you shared with us while we were airing during the auto show is that you feel like family. Joe treats you all like family. So you're not just a number or an employee sitting at a desk. You feel like you are family and have relationship. So let's kind of talk about, how did you go from, starting work, being an employee, and now being a part of the family?
So you said, how did I start from being an employee or part of the family? Well, you know what? Let me just say I'm blessed. I thank God for the relationship, right? But I had to develop that over the years. Joe has had a lot of people that have worked for him over these years, right? And the first time when I was there, I left because I knew that I needed to grow, right? I didn't know which way I was going and what I wanted to do, right? But I knew I needed to grow. So that's when I made a stunt, and I went to LaFontaine. And with LaFontaine, it was 3 people running a special finance department, right? Special finance department, and we have customers that deal with bruised credit, right? Bad credit. And it was 3 managers, so I became a manager. And I used LaFontaine's money, right, in order to become the queen. And they had no clue that I could get business from Detroit, Ann Arbor, Pontiac, Southfield, that they would actually come see the queen. Now, this is a true story. So I was able to build that brand, but I was unhappy. And the reason I was unhappy was because I was promised some things that they didn't do, right? So I said, you know what? Why? And then also, that's when I became the queen. I thank God for Crystal Williams, because she helped me develop the queen, right? And so I put together a package with Crystal Williams of Crystal Vision, right? Crystal Williams Vision, right? To put together for Joe to come back to him, to talk to him. And we sat down, we talked about it. And I said, this is what I believe I can do in 6 months. This is what I believe I can do in a year, and we talked. He talked to his team, and that's when I made that trip back, right? To the dealership. True story, back to the dealership. And go ahead.
Man, so I don't want to interrupt you, but I don't want to lose that point. So we just now saw, I never knew how the queen came about, right? Like, it was just, I always just knew Regina, the queen of car loans. So because our listeners sometimes believe you just, like we all do, like when we just meet somebody, you just think that's always been that person. You just explained to us in very detailed, I don't think I ever heard this before, and I'm glad we're recording this and we can always go back to it, that you went into another situation knowing you had to grow, and then come out developing who you wanted this brand to be, to go back to where you started, who gave you that jump, and saying, hey, I'm the queen. But as the queen, you came with priorities and you came with a plan. Like, how did you, when coming with that plan, and I'm sure it was well received because you're still there, right? But that the brand, the queen, why the queen? Why the queen, and why the queen of cars? Car loans.
So why the queen? So, I was looking at other people in the industry, how they were building their brand, right? And how they had their persona of who they was. You would hear them on the radio. No, I'm not going to give you names today, but you would hear them on the radio, right? But you've never seen their face. You would just hear their voice, right? They could walk into a room somewhere, you would know their voice. And I was like, no. I want you to see my face. I want you to know my voice. And I was like, what makes me different when it comes to being a queen? First of all, Regina means queen, but no clue that I would be using that in my later years of life, right? But I said, you know what? If they're gonna see me, it gotta be, how am I different, right? They hear my voice, how am I different? And so that was built on, how am I different than the next person? Just like if you an actress, right? How are you different from the next person? What makes you different? You know what you do. You wear many hats. What makes you different than somebody else? So I had to develop what makes me different. And that has sustained me to this day, is because I am steady building my brand. People think, you know what, you got this. No, I don't. God is still working with me. God is not through with me yet.
Yeah. I love it. So you know what? I'm hearing how the brand started, right? And so as I'm listening to you, let's kind of talk about some of the rough edges, like some of the rough times, because I know you're back at Joe now, and I know you've been to several dealerships to help become the queen.
Yes.
But let's talk about
left again and back again.
Let's talk about how you had to maintain being the queen. Was it always easy? Were you up at night? Did you were at dealerships and you weren't valued? Like, what did you go through before you really got to the place where you are now, where you're settled? Because from what I'm hearing from, you're settled now. You're in a place where you're happy now and you're settled. So let's talk about that background to get you to the settling place.
So let's talk about when I hit rock bottom. So I hit rock bottom when I went to Detroit. When I went to a dealership in Detroit that's no longer there, I left again at Joe Longhammer. And the reason I left, because I thought that I was not valued. So that's why I left Longhammer again. And I valued myself, but I really wasn't. I thought I wasn't valued. So when I went to Detroit, I hit rock bottom. I stepped away from the Chevy or the GM brand. I went to Ford.
What's rock bottom?
And rock bottom is when, I got to write a book too, Dr. T. So I'll give you a little,
give us a little snippet.
Okay, so
what's
rock bottom is when you buy that $300,000 house, right? And I'm sorry, it was worth $5, right? And then I put a large down payment down on it, right? And I sold my house. And I moved back into my brand new condo I had bought a few years before I bought the house, right? Rock bottom was me making a move to actually leave that house, knowing my income from over $100,000 a year, right? Over 6 figures down to $30,000 to $40,000, right? I had to make that decision to move. Nobody knew that that's what was going on with me, because I prayed to God and I made those power moves, right? But inside, I was hurting. But I had to make a move because I needed to still live. So God helped me, put me in the right direction. What I needed to do, I needed to get rid of some weight. I needed to make some moves. And I needed to be able to live on my income for 2 years while I was struggling. But nobody knew, because I just moved back to my condo, right? But then because I still was driving what I was driving, right? My lease was up on my Corvette, turned it in. I had a company car, right? Then I purchased another car. It was a Ford Fusion. Nobody never saw that Ford Fusion because I drive my company car every day, right? But I got the Ford Fusion at 1.9, right? So I was able to have that extra car payment, right? That one car payment. So I went from paying $700 on a Corvette, right? So having a 329, I think it was 330 on a Ford Fusion. And then having a car I drive every day to work.
But I gotta say this. Isn't it something how God makes our frame look good? We could be going through the storm. We could be going through the fire, but yet we come out not smelling like smoke.
Man.
So we're gonna take a quick break, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna answer that question.
Hi, Joe Longhammer from Longhammer Chevrolet here with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. What kind of deals do you have right now, Regina?
this tax season, I'll match your down payment up to $500 on any new or used vehicle.
So if a customer brings $250,
I'll make it $750.
if they bring $500,
I'll make it $1,000.
when you come in, just ask for Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Ha! It's good to be the queen of car loans.
Yes, Joe knows.
To find me and this limited time deal, Google Regina, the queen of car loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Hi, I'm Dave Wilkie, service manager at Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. Since the 1950s, Joe Longhammer and his family have been honored to service your vehicles. With 112 years of combined service experience, we can take care of any concern you might have. From warranty work to routine oil changes, we treat your vehicle like our own. Call now to schedule a next service appointment at Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. Stop by anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Get your vehicle serviced right every time. Call 248-683-7100. That's 248-683-7100.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Regina, the queen of car loans here with Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. If you're looking to get into a new or used vehicle with affordable rates, I can get you financed today. My lenders are making unheard of deals where others are simply cannot. This month, ladies, I'm hooking you up with hair and makeup from Glamorous Rebel Hair and Beauty in Sterling Heights for the first 10 people who buy a new or used car from me. You'll be riding in style with the queen, Regina, the queen of car loans. Just Google Regina, the queen of car loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
You are still listening to Be in the Driver's Seat. So, Regina, when we went to break, I made the statement of, isn't it something how God makes our statement look good, our frame look good, even when we are at rock bottom. But let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to talking about Joe and how the relationship with Longhammer and as a family member to him. Let's talk a little bit more about that.
Well, it had to be a relationship where, you know how somebody go away and they come back? You know how you have a kid that go somewhere, they leave home because they upset, right? They upset. And they go out to the big world, then you got to come back, right?
Yeah,
and your parents always let you back, right?
That's right.
So I'm that at Longhammer, right? I told Joe last week, I'm like, my name, I'm family. My name is not Longhammer. It's Regina Eileen Woodard Longhammer. It's not on paper, but I'm part of the family. I'm like the light fixture, right? All right. So I had to develop that relationship because I had to grow. I had to show who I was, right? In the beginning, when I first came there, first time, I was developing. It was get to know me. I didn't talk to Joe that much at all. When I deuced out the door the first time, I was gone, right? I gave him the 2 fingers, bye. But I left in a good way. It wasn't a mean way. I left. Every time I exit somewhere, right, I exit right. So when I came back the second time, I had to develop that relationship with him. I had to actually, I called the dealership because I didn't have his cell phone the second time I came back. I called the dealership, left him a message. He called me back.
That's good.
Within 24 hours, he called me back, right? He said, okay, sit down and talk. We sat down and talked, right? We put together this plan. And after that, when I came back that time, I said, I got to do everything I said I was going to do and do it better. And what I put together is what nobody else put together. They didn't put a plan together. They hadn't seen anything like that. What I was, the persona of being the queen and then being Regina, they hadn't seen that before.
Wow, that's huge. So that just lines up with the word. For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. And so because the Lord knew your plans, even though you may have went to another dealership, you may have went a different direction, but you always came back. And because God knew the plan, even though you didn't know it, isn't it good to know that our plan is not God's plan? You would have never been where you are now had you not followed the plan.
And put herself in a position where she could come back.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times.
And never burn a road, never burn a bridge, no matter what, even though you may be mad.
Yeah.
Right?
And how you handle that in such a way where even, this man's livelihood, this is how he feeds his family. Exactly. This is how he's provide for his family, right? So the stress of just having employees come in, people who he can trust. We're talking about people who have to use their professional skill set to sell a car. A, he didn't build on his own, but 2, his name is out there. So a bad name, as the word would say, is worse than anything.
Yeah.
So he takes this chance and says, okay, Regina, let's talk. Let's come back with the plan and let's talk about it. Talk about God having people and spaces for you to have what you need. And that's how I kind of looked at that.
Well, here's the thing. So when I left again after I had my spill there, right? I left again because I was still finding myself.
Yeah.
When I tried to talk to him before I left again, he was busy. He was bound other dealerships. He didn't make time. I was hurt. I was hurt, right? I deuced, but I deuced in the right way. The day I was gonna quit, I waited for him the week to come back to try to make time. When he came back in dealership, he was busy. So I called him and I told him about to put my notice in. I'm leaving. It was nothing on it.
So this
quiet for
the second
15
time.
seconds. Yeah, 15 seconds. So when I left, I still left in a good way. I left when I went to Detroit. That's when I realized I hit bottom because all my income changed. Things changed. But I had to go through what I had to go through in order to get where I am today. So me coming back again was like, oh, I come back again, I got to recreate myself, right? God put me at a B lot. When people saw me at this B lot in the Urban Hills, they was like, Regina, what you doing at this B lot?
Man,
but God, what?
Listen, when I heard, so I went, look, okay, so I'm at the point where I'm like trying to go find, another car. There's only one person I'm going to get this car from.
Absolutely.
And they were like, oh no, she ain't at Longhammer no more. She over here at this little lot. And I'm like, a little lot? What little lot? And it was the little, and I don't even think the lot's still there no more next to the Coney Island.
Yeah, it's still there.
Is it still there? And I was just like, oh, okay. I don't know what that's about, but I'm going to holler at her when she get back to Joe Longhammer. Like, I don't know what that's about, but I'm going to holler at her when she get back to Joe Longhammer. And it gave me time enough, and then it was just like, by the time I was ready for my birthday, again, I was like, oh, I want this Suburban. I know exactly who I'm going to. I know exactly who I'm going to go get it from. And it wasn't, I mean, even if she wasn't at Joe Longhammer, it was just, I know it was like Regina. This is where I'm going to get this car from, right? Yeah. This is where I'm going to get this truck from. But then there was so many things that were happening in the school district. There were so many things that they were doing with the Pontiac School District. For me personally, watching the insight of that, it's like saying, I know my money is about to be spent back into the school district, if that makes sense, right? So
in other words, So in other words, you found me when I went back to Longhammer, right? You got settled. I got settled. Then I got a phone call from you saying, "Hey, I'm gonna holler at you. I'm gonna talk to you." Matter of fact, I think we seen each other somewhere.
We seen, and it was just,
and you was like, "Hey, well,
I need this X, Y, and Z." I mean, I could have.
And let me know when you got it.
Man, I could have test drove about 5 cars out there that day. Man, I was riding around the town. I was switching up cars. I felt like I was back in my old days. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that one that called me, of course, TTP. That's out there. That's Silver. 2018 was calling me.
Big ride.
You know what I'm saying?
Big head, big foot, and big mouth.
But listen here, so I mean, honestly though, I've been rocking with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, for years. So all of these locations she named, I was right there rolling with you.
You did, and I appreciate it. You did.
And so, whether you was at the A lot, the B lot, behind the lot, I was rolling with you, and I can appreciate no matter where you were that you still was Regina.
Well, let me say this. Let me just say this real quick because I know we're gonna take a quick break here. Is that God took me from an A lot to a B lot because I had to go. That was rock bottom. So one of my good friends who I started with in the car business said, "Hey, I want you to be a manager. I want you to come here." COVID hit, bam. We broke some records or whatever, and then they started to treat me a little different there. And I said to myself, "Regina, is it all about that, or do you need to go back home?" So that's when I called Joe again, right? He called me back. Matter of fact, I'm sorry, I was locked in his phone. He answered, right? Then we had a conversation. I was supposed to go back. I didn't. He called me a week later like, "I thought you were supposed to call me." And everything else from there was history. So I had to get comfortable in my skin in order to realize that I had to know my worth. Me back now, I know my worth, and that's the difference. If you don't know nothing of all the story I just told you, know your worth. Once you know your worth and anything you do, the sky's the limit. It took me that long, 3 times back, third time, right? To know my worth.
They say the third time's a charm. Though.
So I know my worth now.
Yeah. So that's so good. And you know what? I'm so glad that you do. And I'm glad that we had the opportunity to talk to you today. And you were very transparent with us talking about the hitting rock bottom. So I'm excited. I'm also excited for the second half of the show. Well, for the end of the show, right? Because we're going to talk about rock bottom with Mr. Popo himself.
Rock bottom.
We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dave Wilkie, Service Manager at Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. Since the 1950s, Joe Longhammer and his family have been honored to service your vehicles. With 112 years of combined service experience, we can take care of any concern you might have. From warranty work to routine oil changes, we treat your vehicle like our own. Call now to schedule the next service appointment at Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. Stop by anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Get your vehicle serviced right every time. Call 248-683-7100. That's 248-683-7100.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Hi, Joe Longhammer from Longhammer Chevrolet here with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. What kind of deals you have right now, Regina?
This tax season, I'll match your down payment up to $500 on any new or used vehicle.
So if a customer brings $250,
I'll make it $750.
if they bring $500,
I'll make it $1,000.
when you come in, just ask for Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Ha! It's good to be the Queen of Car Loans.
Yes, Joe knows.
To find me and this limited time deal, Google Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Regina, the Queen of Car Loans here with Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. If you're looking to get into a new or used vehicle with affordable rates, I can get you financed today. My lenders are making unheard of deals where others are simply cannot. This month, ladies, I'm hooking you up with hair and makeup from Glamorous Rebel Hair and Beauty in Sterling Heights for the first 10 people who buy a new or used car from me. You'll be riding in style with the Queen, Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. Just Google Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
So we're back, and we're gonna talk about rock bottom. Rock bottom,
Man.
Gil. What is rock
Man.
bottom to you?
Rock bottom is that space, and I heard people describe it like this. You feel like you that oil gook in the bottom of the oil pan, that part that can't be used, that part that's unusable. You don't know what it is. You don't know how. You don't even know if it could be repurposed for what its original creation was. Rock bottom is not hearing God or feeling like you abandoned. The feeling of emptiness and loneliness. The feeling that your words are falling on deaf ears because you can't feel the presence of God, because your spirit is not in tune with everything that's moving around you. Now, God said he'll never leave us or never forsake us. So we're talking about a mental thing that you have decided within yourself that God no longer exists or he's forgotten about you. But it's in that rock bottom space. Rock bottom for me was as a police officer, patrolling in our city, beautiful spirit, young lady, just home from school. And she went to go visit some friends. And because of the gun violence at that time, she got shot. And we could not find an exit wound. Star EMS was about 4 minutes, 5 minutes delay. But we're probably a block and a half, maybe a minute from ER. So we put her in the back of my police car, rushed her there, lights and sirens, but eventually she passed. And when I opened up that door and I looked in her eyes, that wasn't where I felt like rock bottom was, because I'm a police officer, so this is one of those things that we're set to do. But the other part of that is it touched my son because that was one of his best friends.
Wow.
And so when my work entered into my home, which it had never done before, and I felt like at that point, like, okay, I don't know if I can handle this because I now have to tell my son about one of his friends. And that's inside of my home. That's outside of police work, right? Now that's into what I created, right? God gave me responsibility for. And I sank in such a depression to the point that in all the places, God has been very, very, oh my God, his grace for me and my family. And as far as finances is concerned, we have multiple residents that we can go. And in our home, at that particular point in time, I found myself in my apartment with a mattress that I had got from Walmart, by myself, curled up in the corner, asking God, do you remember me?
Wow. You talking
That
about
was rock bottom.
Okay, let me just process this. You're saying that you, the man that people look at and look up to, the police officer, school board representation, working in politics, on the floor in the apartment, crawled up.
Like I was like a little boy.
Wow. Now, when I hear even Regina talking about rock bottom,
That's called being human.
and you talking about rock bottom, people really don't understand. They don't, there is a lot that we as individuals have to deal with. So many people are dealing with so much, but people see the polished man, right?
Yes.
And I say all the time, many want the Job blessing, but they don't want the Job experience. What I'm hearing now is a Job experience. I mean, rock bottom, lost everything on a mattress, not in a bed, on a mattress.
And it's not even so much where financially I was worried or anything. I didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
Like everything that I built myself up to be, everything that I said that I was, the mantras. I mean, again, you talking about a kid that his first murder, he saw at 9 years old. You know what I mean? Like I come from the slums, you know what I'm saying, or what appeared or what I thought to be the slums. But, and again, that wasn't the first time I ever saw somebody die, or it wasn't the first time a kid died in my arms or died by me trying to rescue them. But that was the moment that God used at that time to say, okay, I need you to come out of this new and trust in me. And people, and like you said, Dr. T, what I need believers and I need listeners to understand that what you're going through right now is necessary. But don't make the mistake that I made in thinking that God left. That's why it's so good to be around people who can give you the word and give you strong word and give you strong food. So in those dark times, if I could have remembered that God would never leave me or forsake me, if I could have remembered that then, and I caught on to it later, right? And I started to get that hope again. And then God started showing me that, okay, Gil, there's some things with you I got to get out. Some things have to be purged. Yeah. Some things have to be, you have to hit a spot where all you have to say is, and can say is, God, please.
Come on. So, Regina, I just have to jump in and say this. The Bible tells us that every knee gonna bow. Every tongue gonna confess. So guess what? You got to get to a place where God is only you. Everything else can go, it's only you. So right now, what do you want me to do? Because if he's really the navigationalist, if he's really the shepherd,
the true person
if he's really the way, the truth, and the life, if this is who he really is, then you got to believe that no matter whatever state you in, he right there with you.
And do you believe it?
Wherever you make your bed, he right there.
But do you believe it?
Can you believe it?
That's the point. That's like, do you, like, we have all these mantras in our community, right? God is this and God is that, God is that. But when you get in that clutch, when you get in that downright, I don't know what it is, when the religion leaves, when all of the songs you remember, you can't even remember a song. You got tears rolling down your eyes so hard you can't even wash your face. You feel like you washing your face. That's just how many tears you crying.
That's a scripture.
Are going to, what is God for you? Yeah. And if you being challenged, I challenge you to open your mouth and say, whatever you want me to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until that point where I say, okay, God, whatever you want me to do. And now, being in a sound mind and being healthy and being able to talk about it and being able to share my story, every day I ask God when I wake up in the morning, what is it that you will have me do today?
Yeah. How can I partner with you today? That's good.
Yeah.
How can I partner with
you? And we need to move that. We need to move that and continue that. And that was that rock bottom for me. And I'll continue to share that. I'm going to continue to share our story. I'm going to continue to share who we are, because I think that's what the listeners want us to be and how they need us to be.
Well, I really hope that you got something for this segment, even though we're going to come back. But hope that you got something. You guys received something from the whole show. Not got something, but received something, because we're giving it to you personally this morning.
Yeah, you getting it raw, unfiltered.
Yeah. And to get it raw, unfiltered, that's strong.
Yeah.
For sure.
So we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dave Wilkie, Service Manager at Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. Since the 1950s, Joe Longhammer and his family have been honored to service your vehicles. With 112 years of combined service experience, we can take care of any concern you might have. From warranty work to routine oil changes, we treat your vehicle like our own. Call now to schedule the next service appointment at Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. Stop by anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Get your vehicle serviced right every time. Call 248-683-7100. That's 248-683-7100.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Regina, the Queen of Carlones here with Joe Longhammer Chevrolet. If you're looking to get into a new or used vehicle with affordable rates, I can get you financed today. My lenders are making unheard of deals where others are simply cannot. This month, ladies, I'm hooking you up with hair and makeup from Glamorous Rebel Hair and Beauty in Sterling Heights for the first 10 people who buy a new or used car from me. You'll be riding in style with the Queen, Regina, the Queen of Carlones. Just Google Regina, the Queen of Carlones.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
Hi, Joe Longhammer from Longhammer Chevrolet here with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans. What kind of deals you have right now, Regina?
This tax season, I'll match your down payment up to $500 on any new or used vehicle.
So if a customer brings $250,
I'll make it $750.
if they bring $500,
I'll make it $1,000.
when you come in, just ask for Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Ha! It's good to be the Queen of Car Loans.
Yes, Joe knows.
To find me and this limited time deal, Google Regina, the Queen of Car Loans.
Chevrolet, find new roads.
We're back and we're still talking about rock bottom. Dr. T, can you give us like a scenario with when you're a therapist and you talk to people all day and every day, right?
Yeah.
So when you talk to someone, what's your opinion of rock bottom, of someone being rock bottom that you have dealt with? Not giving a case or situation, but a situation on your opinion.
Rock bottom is different to everybody, right? That what that looks like is different for everybody. But rock bottom is when I physically cannot do anything else. I've tried everything, it didn't work. So now here I am. I have no other choice. I need to either get in the game or get out the game. Take myself out the game.
Ooh.
When people come to me, that's what they're talking about. Look, I'd rather give all of this up if I can't get some help. So when they come to me, they are at rock bottom. I'm tired of going through this.
So they're at the stage where they want to go off a cliff,
They
rock bottom, or they just at rock bottom, just letting everything go, period, that they have or what they're doing?
Well, it looks different for everybody. So rock bottom could be suicide. Rock bottom could be homicide. Rock bottom could be, just I'm walking away from the job. I'm going in my house and I ain't coming back out anymore. Rock bottom could be different for everybody. So I meet that person right where they are. Because first of all, I tell them I'm not the healer. Jesus is the healer. I'm the catalyst. So if you're ready to do this work, then we can make this work. And so the biggest thing I want everyone listening today to take away from this is your beginning does not dictate your ending. It does not. Just because you started somewhere and you may be at rock bottom, there's always hope. There's always hope. It's always hope. So don't be ashamed of where you are right now. There's help available. If it's anybody listening now, you're at rock bottom, you need a therapist. www.psychologytoday. Put your zip code in and find a therapist in your area and get the help you need.
I believe what you're saying is that no matter who you are, doesn't matter what color you are, doesn't matter how much money you make, doesn't matter what you do. If you need help, reach out, because that's the bottom line. You got to reach out. You need to be in the driver's seat for whatever you do. When I say that's why the show is called Be in the Driver's Seat. You want to put yourself to be in the driver's seat of what you do at all times, 24/7. So if you didn't get anything during this program, you need to know whatever kind of situation you're in right now, you can get out of it and put yourself back in the driver's seat. Yeah. So Gil, what do you have on that part?
You gotta drill down and get focused.
Yeah.
Specifically if you are you gotta be serious about you. I think one of the things that I have, and be honest. Like if you're not, listen, let's stop. Let's not play games with this at all. Like,
I didn't think we were playing games this morning.
And I guess I'm talking about that listeners that's been listening to us for the past hour, and I want them to understand that don't be listening just to be listening. Like, take this serious. Take you serious, right? Like, you have to take you this change or this work that you're about to go through. There's levels to this, and so now I want to break these levels down. If you're the person that's always the
oh Lord, person. Listeners, he's about to break this level down. That's why he talked too much during the whole group. He is the talker. He is the first one, and then me and Dr. T are tied. Because I gotta interrupt because you always figure you gotta break everything down.
You have to.
Are you the police today? What have you wearing radio personality?
Okay, because what happens is I don't like for people to think that they can that when they see the Queen of Car Loans or they see a Dr. T or they see a Mr. Trust the Process, aka Popo, that you can just jump into that because you see it and be like, oh, they got it, I can do it. And you faking your way through the whole thing.
Faking the fun.
And that's what has a tendency of happening with people, specifically in our community is, and why they find themselves not interested in who they are. We're uniquely designed, each and every last one of us. And it doesn't matter where you come from, age bracket, color of your skin, money, that whole thing. You are uniquely designed. What is, you have to find that. And the only way that you can find that is you start having conversations with yourself. And I ain't just talking about the physical conversations. I'm talking about finding out what you like, what you don't like, because we got too many people in our community partnering with each other and having kids, and they don't know who each other is. Mm-hmm. You ain't talked about how you gonna raise this kid. You ain't talking about who this kid gonna be around. You're not talking about any of that psychology around it. You just pop up your Instagram. I like this person. I go to this club. Y'all meet up, and then 6 months, 9 months later, you talking about, oh, I got a little junior, and you think it's cute because it's cute to have a baby, as if that baby not gonna grow up. We got to stop that. So I'm very ecstatic about what's going on and how we're doing things with bids. And just like Dr. T said, get some help. Don't be afraid to get some help. She gave you the website that you can go in and get some help, but be serious about who you are.
So before we finish up, I would like to you give one word. Don't give too much explanation on it, right? And I'm talking to Gill mainly. So what's one word that you would give our listeners today? My one word is progress.
My word is surrender.
My word is transition.
Transition?
Transition.
Progress.
Surrender.
Surrender.
Transition.
These are the 3 words we're giving you today. Thank you for listening to Be in the Driver's Seat. This show is one of our best shows. I probably say that once a month, but it's one of our best shows. Why? It's because today we were transparent. Yeah. Transparent from the heart, uncut, just sharing our inner. And when you share your inner, what does that mean?
They got it today.
They got it.
They got it today.
Any last words, Dr. T, before we take it out?
No, I love y'all and ain't nothing y'all can do about it.
What about you, Gill?
You know what it is. Trust the process.
Oh, wow. Trust the process. And check us out. Same time, same place, next week. What social media platforms can they find us on real quick?
They can find us on YouTube, Be in the Driver's Seat. You can also go to Facebook, Be in the Driver's Seat. You can also go to our website, www.beinthedrivers.com.
And listen to the show a few days after it is live. Well, recorded on Saturday. And then you go to our Instagram page, Be in the Driver's Seat, and follow us there. Have a good week.
Happy Saturday.
Peace.
You've been listening to Be in the Driver's Seat with Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and mental health expert, Dr. Teresa Moore.
Brought to you by Joe Longhammer Chevrolet of Waterford.
Be in the Driver's Seat, a Saturday morning mix of cars, credit, and wellness created just for you. From Regina, the Queen of Car Loans, and Dr. Teresa Moore, thank you for listening.